This podcast is brought to you by Clarizen. They're the leader in enterprise project and portfolio management. Visit clarizen.com to learn more. So welcome to the DPM videocast, where Kelly and I give our 5 cents on everything that's going on in our DPM world. Now, today I want to read a story, and it's a bit of a sad story. So get your tissues ready, but here we go. Someone writes to us and says, I've been a PM for 12 years, self-taught, and at several companies I worked at, I was the first and had to introduce PM methodologies. The companies were always ready and accepting of what a PM could bring to projects. And in February 2018, I started a position, and the PMs were treated like admin assistants for the account management team. I wonder if that sounds familiar to everyone. Then they moved to a smaller agency and was hired to be the digital PM. However, they treated their project managers more like admin assistants, even doing expense reports for account manager travel. She wasn't allowed to write a scope and couldn't write any change requests. They were told not to track budgets. And the creative director even told them they didn't care about internal milestones, because the only milestone that mattered was the one in the end to the client. So this is the question they came to us with. How does one find an environment that supports and cultivates strong PMs? How should I have vetted these employers before accepting an offer? They seem to say the right things, but then in practice, it didn't turn out that way. So, Kelly, you have just changed jobs. And I think what's fascinating about this kind of question, this letter that we got, this is not totally unfamiliar territory, right? This is, we can become admin assistants if we're not really careful, but also there's lots of places out there where people really don't value the role of PMs. So how did you've just changed jobs, what did you look out for in trying to find a new employer?
Yes. Wow. What a loaded letter. And yes, it is not unfamiliar. It is something that I think so many of us experience. I think that most importantly, getting my name out there, or going to conferences, going onto these forums, Slack channels, getting to talk to people, because actually our industry, as vast as it is for what it covers, it is small and people know people. And so I like to actually vet places through people, not necessarily who have worked there, but maybe people who know people who have worked there, also people who have worked there, because you will get a true sense of the type of culture that you want to walk into. Beyond that, if you're in conversations with a company, I think it is important to not meet only with that who you report to and their peers, but I think also who have your role, to be able to talk to them about what the role looks like, what the challenges are, and what maybe challenges, consider the challenges you're currently experiencing or walking away from, and list those out as, not grievances, but what you want to do as a PM and what you feel you aren't able to do where you currently are. And so, one of my things is process evolution. If I feel I'm in a place that's too big, where process evolution is either too slow, or I feel like I'm a very, little piece in a huge picture where I don't have much of an impact, that for me is important. So I want to find some place where I'm able to apply an evolved process. So that's something I asked about. And, wherever you go, it's going to be sugar-coated. When you look at the job description, there are definitely elements that feel like admin in a project management role. But I think what people don't know, they don't know. And you have to show them in order to have them experience the value. So with the one milestone that the creative director wants to put on that project, just create those other milestones and say something to give some extra skeleton to the project plan, some extra structure, and see the difference that it makes. And you don't have to say, I told you so, but show the value behind what those milestones can do. Most importantly, it's just asking those questions in a way that is honest and transparent, but respectful. I think it comes off as genuine for what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And one thing that I would add is that actually, I think there are lots of places out there that do respect the role of project managers. So if you are, and the demand for us is growing. So there are always people, there are so many jobs. If you go to our jobs channel on Slack, you will find there are stacks of jobs. There are stacks of people wanting good digital project managers. and people who understand what it's about and respect the role. So if you're not in a good role, you should think about switching. But yeah, like Kelly is talking about, I think it's so important to talk to not just the people who are going to be our boss. Try and find people on LinkedIn who used to work for that organization, who used to be a PM there. Find out what it was like. It's not all going to be rosy, but you're going to get a different perspective. And then I think one of the things that that was touched on in that letter was that, hey, there was a process that was kind of described, but then it was never adhered to. So I think one of the ways that you can challenge that in the interview process is in the same way that we're often asked tricky questions like, what would you do in this situation? I think you can ask them to explain the process and then throw in some curveballs yourself and say, okay, well, what happens if internally it takes us longer to get stuff done? What do we do then? Who pays for it? How do we account for that internally? Or, if we're not happy with the output from the creative team, what happens next? Who's the one that gets final say on whether or not that goes to the client or not? Who covers that cost when it goes wrong? When the dev team try building something and it doesn't work? So I think is it in the same way that we get asked tricky questions, and you should expect tricky questions in an interview. I think it's totally fair to ask them ourselves and pull apart the process to try and see where the tension lies within the organization, and hopefully that might do something to shed some light on what your role might be like when you actually get there. But that is all we've got time for today. So until next time, thanks for watching. And if you want to follow this conversation and others like it, head to the digitalprojectmanager.com/Slack, where you'll find thousands of PMs talking about things just like this day in and day out. Thanks for watching.